Matty. We've got a game against Dundee United coming up on Saturday evening, where I believe we will be. I think it's the worst kept secret going, playing in the anniversary hoops kit, which I think we can get an early sight of with our Ian here. Look at that, beautiful. Um, Neil's almost got a hoop strip, just kind of stopped short. It's only going part way across his chest there, but it's an attempt at least. There's been some rumours of signings imminent, so I've seen in a number of places Stephen Fletcher's name getting bandied about, but also later on, Mikel Antonio, formerly of West Ham, his name's been mentioned, which I think is probably pie in the sky, but who knows? Um, so we'll chat about that. One thing I wanted to talk to everybody tonight about was an email that was received from Green Tea around clubs playing their league games in other countries, and whether or not we would appreciate that if it was happening to Hibs. We've got me on YouTube already. First comments come in just asking. Now we know our squad. What's our best 11? So have a wee think about that, guys. I'll ask you that as we get going as well. And G said, hello, lads, watching from Warsaw. Good stuff. Hello to you, G. Right, Neil, I think you were first. You were first to join the chat room. I don't know if you were first online, but first to join the room. So, welcome back to the forum. I can't remember if this is your debut or if you've been on before, because we've been on podcasts together. So,
Aye. I was on it. I was on before, but I couldn't get a word in edgeways for Robson. He was like hogging the mic and stuff like that. So this is like Charlie Chaplin getting his like talking debut in the general fact fans. But how's it going, buddy? You good?
good, yeah, dynamic, as Joe would say.
Dynamic.
As we were saying before, where do you want to kick off, Neil? What's on your mind?
Stephen Fletcher, I heard the rumour yesterday that we were getting him, and I think there's a bit of negotiations about wage. I don't know. I thought it was maybe going to happen today, but I would take him back as a backup striker. I think we do need a bit of cover up front, and so I didn't like. I would have taken Lyndon Dykes, but I don't think Lyndon Dykes would have been like a backup striker. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know how you guys know it better than me, but I don't think we would have played free up front. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not really sure where he would have fitted in with that. But nah, I would take Stephen Fletcher back.
Fletcher, I mean, I suppose he's old, but he's 39. I say he's old, he's younger than me, but most folk are these days. 39 or 39 on his next birthday. But he played
Yes.
last season at Wrexham, didn't he?
Wrexham, aye. I don't think he really did that well, but you can imagine him like coming up here, playing against, when we need to rest, like Bowie and stuff like that. Or maybe he comes on with the last half hour. I think he could do a job.
He certainly fits the profile, like the sort of Dwight Gale role. And we have gone down the route of experienced strikers before as backup. What do you think he would bring to the team, Neil?
He would bring experience, and he'd also bring the fact that he's been at Hibs before and he loved it at Hibs as well. It was like the club that sort of started it off for him and that. So I think he would do well, and I think like a cult hero coming back. But he'd been playing away in that for a bit as well, so I think he'll have a decent level of experience to offer.
It's a cracking experience, cracking career. He played at a really high level for most of his career. Kieran on the YouTube said, not for me with Fletcher. Jack's point, it was 38, so 39 next birthday, nearly 40, said Kieran. Ronnie said, not sure about Fletcher. Did he and Levitt not get Dundee United relegated? Joe, I think you were next. What do you think? Stephen Fletcher, is a yes or a no for you?
Yes, I mean, it would be his last hurrah from a career perspective. And I think if you look at what Dwight Gale did last year, okay, he's a few years older, but if he's used sparingly, I don't see any reason why not. Great to have a backup like that coming in after, 60 or 70 minutes, as Gale often did. So I would be a yes to him coming, personally.
I thought he was brilliant when he was at Hibs the first time. I think it was when Mixu was manager, and I think Fletcher was pretty much carrying us single-handedly through
and
games.
And the fact that he's enthusiastic about what happened at Hibs with him, it's all plus points as far as I can see. It's all about what's up here. So I think it would be a good move if it happens.
Good, Ian. How about you? What are your thoughts on it? Oh, no, Ian, I can't hear you. We've lost your sound.
Oh, sorry about
There we are.
that.
Got you
So
back now.
Fletcher to me, I mean, you're obviously making the comparison with last season with Dwight Gale, and I think like Dwight Gale, Stephen Fletcher's a very, very smart player, very, very intelligent. Like Mixu was always capable of being in the right place, and I think that this is a skill that Kieran Bowie's still to acquire, and so I think Fletcher would be an excellent coach with him, and I think he'd be a real influence. I think I think Fletcher to me is light years ahead of Lyndon Dykes. I'm always amazed at how bad Lyndon Dykes is, and to me, Fletcher would be perfect for us at this time, especially with Bowie.
Good stuff. Jeff, what about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm a yes if Fletcher was a goer. He's the same age as Jimmy Vardy, who's just signed for a Serie A team. So if you look after yourself and the type of role that Fletcher plays, we won't rely on him for pace up front, but he's still got the build, still got the heading ability, fantastic in the air, and someone that Bowie can learn off. Takes the strain off Bowie. We're not relying on Bowie if we're up against the wall, backs against the wall for 90 minutes. Stick him on for the last 20. So if the wage demands aren't ridiculous and he's keen, I'd definitely take him.
His aerial ability was always quite underrated, I thought, Jeff.
It was.
I'm glad you pointed it out. He was really good and a really strong player as well for the sort of build of him.
Very clever. He got the jump. He just seemed to know how to jump. I know it sounds really daft, but time is jump, so he wasn't the biggest. I mean, he's not small. Steve, is he about 6'2", 6'3"?
About that, I would think. Yeah, maybe not quite as tall as 6'3", but
he doesn't
over
look
6 foot.
Yeah, he doesn't look as tall as he really is, if that makes sense. Since he's lost his hair as well, he probably looks a bit smaller. But yeah, I love Fletcher as a Hibs player, and I followed his career down south, and he scored goals. Last season, he played 40-odd times for Wrexham. I don't know how many of those were sub. I scored about 8 goals. So he's still playing. It's not like he played 10 games last year. So yeah. Yes.
I think as Ian said a minute ago, he helped bring Kieran Bowie on too.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I think that's one of the big advantages. What were you, John? What are your thoughts on it?
Feel much younger when we've got players that were born in the 80s still playing for us. So that's always a positive. Is this a Craig Brewster type? I mean, everything that Fletcher's done for Hibs can't be taken away. I mean, he's the 2007 final will be the one that jumps out to everybody. I mean, in terms of performance and getting the goals in that game that just wrapped everything up. He always looked to me to be a player that led our line and has a great career. But at 38, you've got to trust the people in the building at East Mains, that they'll know that he can do the job that David Gray wants. We know that involves a bit of pressing, a bit of dynamism at the top of the pitch. So they've got to be convinced in that. But my recollection of Brewster in the early 2000s was an older head who was able to sort of bring on Gary O'Connor leaps and bounds in terms of how to play the game. It was just a shame that you had to go to Dunfermline rather than re-sign. So I think it would be a good thing. But again, part of it is trusting the people at East Mains to make the right decision on a player at that age. I don't think there's any issue with regards to character, what he bring the team in terms of experience. It's just whether physically he has got in his body the ability to do what we need him to do in the Premier League.
Ian?
Yeah, just the point that John brought up there. I didn't get the chance to see Craig Brewster playing for us. I was in the States at the time. But I was really excited whenever I saw any clips of him. I think like John Robertson, he was a striker who didn't need any backlift for his shots. And at the moment, and which is to me a tremendous asset. And at the moment, Kieran Bowie seems to. His big sort of sweeping shots and stuff like that. Whereas Brewster, to me, and obviously I'll have to rely on what John's saying there, but I always regarded him as really dynamic. And I just was always really excited whenever I saw clips of him.
Good stuff. Well, moving on for signings. I mean, does anybody want to speak about Mikel Antonio, or is this one just a pie in the sky? I've seen it mentioned, but I mean, he had that bad car accident, didn't he, when he was at West Ham, and I don't think they renewed his contract on the back of it. I'm not saying the things are related, but I think he played international football through the week, so he's obviously keeping himself in good condition. But Hibs would never be able to afford that, would we?
Nah. Surely you'd think there's a club between where he is in London and Hibs, you know, somewhere in between it, he'd go to before Hibs. It's no disrespect to Hibs, but nah, can't see it happening.
That is disrespect to him.
Donna said Fletch would definitely be good for Bowie. And John said, evening guys, chilling on my 44th trip around the sun, glass of whiskey in hand, and listening to some of my favourite Hibbies. Slange. Happy birthday to you, John. All the best and well done, etc. Me points out he's part of the TNT sports crew as well. I think they talk about Fletcher. And Jack Flash said Mixu and Brewster was a good front too. I can't mind Mixu and Brewster playing together, but I mean, it was Stevie Crawford, wasn't it, that played with Brewster the most, I think, and then Gary O'Connor coming through.
Sam McManus was up front with him at one point.
McManus as well, eh?
Yeah, I think.
Okay, Dundee United on Saturday. Joe, how do you see this one going?
I think it's a game we have to win. I mean, if you look at our first 4 fixtures, they were all winnable, and we've drawn 2 of them. Obviously, the Falkirk game was postponed, but we've drawn 2 home games, and we really need to win on Saturday. There's just no getting away from it. We have to win if we're going to get our season really going again. So I think we've got the players to do it. I personally think they should rest the 2 players that have been all the way to Australia and New Zealand. And I'd like to see Bowie and Clitty start up front.
Mm-hmm. And so it was Iredale and Boyle that travelled, wasn't it? So
yeah,
what you go with Obita and Nicky Cadden?
Yeah, the back 3, you know, our usual back 3, Rocky, Uhura, and Obita is the back 3. If we're playing a back 3, which I assume we will be for home games, maybe that back 4 include Grant Hanley for away games, like Ibrox away and Parkhead away and so on. But I think Hibs will have to change their lineup to accommodate the fixture that we've got. But this Saturday we're at home, we need to win, so we need to play our best attacking team, in my view.
Mm-hmm. And it's like a big game, isn't it? I mean, Dundee United will fancy their chances for a top 4 places. They've spent a bit of money themselves, signed a lot of players.
That's right.
I noticed Goodwin just extended his contract as well. And it's looking like it's going to be another busy day at Easter Road as well. We've opened up the South Stand to Hibs fans. I think Dundee United have got quite a big allocation as well. So it sets up for an evening kick-off as well, Joe. So a right big night, really, isn't it?
Yes, but if you add to the fact that the following 3 fixtures are Rangers, Hearts and Celtic, we need to win a home fixture against Dundee United, having drawn the previous 2 league games at home against very beatable teams.
Mm-hmm. Jeff, what were you thinking about the weekend?
Yeah, I'm confident without being overconfident. Dundee United, they'll be like Land of the Giants, big team. We're not as small as people are making us out to be, so I'm not that concerned. I think we'll just have too much pace and guile for them when we get in there third. But the rest will hopefully have done as good, get a bit more in the legs, and I'm looking forward to it. I won't do a score prediction yet, but yeah, we should be okay.
Should be okay, yeah. And then do you have any preference over the team selection?
I think at home against a team where we're probably going to have more possession, I would play Obita at the back instead of Iredale. And Nicky Cadden whipping in the crosses. Is it a game we can put Mulligan at right wing back and try Chaiwa and Levitt, McGrath as a midfield, or
that's your team?
Or the new boy might be a bit early for him to start, but I'm interested to see what position he plays when he comes on. Barlaser or Barlasa. And then Bowie and Boyle up front, or Bowie and Cleege, whichever way we want to start. I'm not bothered as long as Bowie's there. Somebody playing off him, that'd be good.
Good stuff. Ian, what were your thoughts for it?
I think I was delighted to see Grant Hanley playing so well against Denmark. Really was very impressed with that. And it sounds like just from the reports that Obita had a tremendous international break as well. Played in both the games and played, it sounds like, very well, as did Jamie McGrath. So I just checked here, and United have got 2 internationalists playing for North Macedonia, and we've got the 9 plus the 2 youngsters, so we've got 11. We have to overpower teams like this. The targets for the season, my understanding, were to qualify for group stages in Europe. We've failed with that. Win a cup. We have to win a cup, so we have to beat Rangers. We have to beat Rangers, and that should be the expectation. And we have to get third in the league or something like that. So we must beat United, and we must try and overpower them right from the start. We should be trying to literally outpass them for pace, and I think we should be trying. I mean, I know I love Jeff, but last week he said that St Mirren are a good side. I don't care whether United are a good side or what, or what the expectations are. We have to beat them, and we have to beat them really well. We can't be playing against teams like this and coming up with excuses afterwards. Up till now, our problem's been finishing. It's been finishing for up to this point in the season, and we have to finish better. We have to annihilate them. We have to hit them really hard right from the start.
It feels like Sunday's going to be in the end of a sore one for us at one point if the finishing does click, because we certainly create enough chances, Ian, don't we?
But we keep on thinking that in every game. We keep on thinking, we're going to destroy this team. And obviously, we were brilliant against Legia in Warsaw. But we missed, I don't know, 3 more pretty good chances that we should have scored with. So, the finishing just hasn't been good enough. And we're hitting the post or whatever, and hitting the post, everybody says, it's unlucky, but it's not unlucky, you missed the goals. So, the finishing has to be better.
Yeah,
John,
there's 2 ends to Ian's story, though. We need to keep a clean sheet at long last at the back. We've lost a goal every game, just about.
it's getting that balance, isn't it? We definitely haven't quite been as stingy as we were last season at the back. John, what were you thinking for Saturday?
We've set our standards over the last 8 or 9 months. This should be a game that we go into fully confident. Like every game, you're going to have an appreciation and a respect for the opposition, because you're going to have to win your battles. But no, we should be going into this with a real level of confidence and a real level of expectation. And I think that's the step that the club needs to be taken. We can't look at the last 3 transfer windows, look at how we've completely remodelled the squad, how we've given continuity under a young manager who's developing and showing skill sets in terms of getting big results, and then turn around and saying that we're quite happy to just keep tripping over wee pebbles. This isn't that. If we get a referee who completely screws it up by not giving penalties in the last minutes and all this sort of stuff, then we can turn around, and there's things in the games that we don't control. And David Gray's very good at identifying those. I don't think there'll be anybody East Mains who's under any doubt at all that we control the outcome of this game, and we should be going there. As Ian points out, had our XG, I think, for the St Mirren game was 2 point something, but it was less than 1 if you looked at the shots on target. The number of times we were in good positions to get a good shot on target and we didn't hit the target, Hoylett being the biggest example, was the problem. So if we get a cool heads in the penalty area, dispatch it past the goalie, I mean, it sounds like the easiest thing in the world, but we've got a team that can get us into those positions, and we should have quality in the box to do it. And I'm quite happy for someone like Boyle, who's only played, 75 minutes and 15 minutes across 2 games. I mean, to come back and be ready to go. It's not as if we were looking at a year ago when it was all about qualification, I think, and Miller came back and had a bit of a mare up at Dundee, Tannadice. I mean, we're not looking at that. We're looking at players who are confident. They have built their trust in each other over time. And David Gray has headaches in terms of who he selects.
Well, we'll come on to the team selection in a wee minute, because that was one of the questions we had right at the start of the episode, which was about your strongest 11. But before we do that, Neil, I'll get your thoughts for Saturday as well. How do you see it going?
I think it will be really tough, but I think it's interesting that we just need to completely focus on the job in hand. Like the European run, for what it was good, but we never got to the group stages, as Bruce said earlier on. We need to take the momentum and the sort of like feel-good factor that we had for that European elimination, and then we need to go, as people have said right for the start, like no mucking about. We've spoken about before in like group chats and that, Matt, it's like how many goals do Hibs need to score to win a game? Do you know what I mean? And it's like, I don't know what that number is just now, and I suppose it's when we take the lead and how we defend it. And I know there was points last season where we struggled with that, but we can it's going to be tight in this league. I think where like teams, even like taking into account Old Firm, a lot of teams are going to be taking points off each other. And for Hibs, we've no won at home yet. We need to win this game. But Dundee United will be thinking the same. The pressure will be on Hibs as opposed to Dundee United, but we just need to go right for a start. A big crowd behind the team in that as well, so I think it'll be tough. I can see us winning, but I don't know how many times I've said that with Hibs.
And we're going to be wearing the hooped strip, not quite our original strip, but not kicking us off it. What are your thoughts on playing in the hoop jersey, Neil?
I think it'll be interesting. And am I right in they're keeping it quiet until the game? Is this it? They're no revealing anything.
Like well, I don't know. They've had billboards up in various social media tweets, but
nobody's actually seen it. Like nobody's been sent the top by mistake, like what happened with the third top, is it?
No, they've not done that.
No, so nobody's no yet. Wait for the post to come tomorrow. But yeah, and that'll be really effective. That if the first time everybody sees it is like when a team walk on the pitch. But at the end of the day, it's almost irrelevant. Not irrelevant. The strips are relevant. It's like the players. Do you know what I mean? It's like the badge on the front and the name on the back. That's what matters, and this is what is. And it could well be one of those things that backfire drastically if we get beat off with Dundee United. Do you know what I mean?
Aye,
the anniversary is getting hammered or whatever like that. So it'll be good, but I'm a wee bit sceptical because how many strips have we got this season now?
I think we were in about 60, 65, something like that. I think there's
we've got more strips than games. Do you know what I mean? Like we'll have a European one, we'll have a League Cup strip, we'll have a long banger strip. Do you know what I mean? Stories of Bakers will be sponsoring one and Borlands will sponsor another. But that'll be good, and it's good. The club's making loads of money and stuff like that, and we're all talking about it. So, but I think it's irrelevant. As long as the team do the business.
That is the crux. Jeff, where do you stand on it? You a fan of the hoops jersey?
I'm not a fan of the hoop jersey, no. But it is part of our heritage. I said in a group chat, I'm ambivalent about it. I just hope it doesn't create too much of a stir and take the minds off the actual game in hand. We've got a game to win there. I'd much rather it was in a friendly or, they unveiled it than a match that actually means something. I know there's a bit of chat about do we want to play in the hoops, at Celtic. People still want to do, associate with Celtic. And would there be as much chat about it if the hoops were black and blue or yellow and red? That was our original strip. Just because it associates with Celtic, it just creates another level of conversation. Mm-hmm. So I'm on a personal level, I'm excited to see it, but I'm a bit worried that it just takes, as Neil said, it could backfire on the occasion.
Yeah, that's a reasonable point. Joe, how about you? I mean, although you call yourself the longest long banger, you're still too young to have seen the hoop strip in the flesh. So, what are your thoughts on it?
Are you sure? Are you sure about that?
Even I'm not that old. Okay, I think if Hibs play the right team, it doesn't matter what strip we wear. I don't think it'll be a hoodoo on us. It's 150 years of something to celebrate. Why not against Dundee United when we beat them 3-1? My prediction.
There you go, John. What about you? Where do you stand on it?
As long as it's about Hibs. I mean, we wore that strip. I mean, I think 1875 were put together in the August. We play Hearts in a friendly on Christmas Day at the Meadows, which is the first game. We play a couple of friendlies, but our first competitive games is the 76-77 season. And by that point, we're wearing hoop strips with fancy HFC on the front of it, per Lugton. I mean, so that is, on an argument, that is our first strip. So as long as we do it, and it's about Hibs doing it, and it being a Hibs first, then I'm quite happy with that. People can take it away afterwards if they want to do a one-upmanship on the wee cousins over the road. I mean, but yeah, make it about Hibs, and I'm quite happy with it. Whether I buy it, I'm not sure, if I'm honest. But I've got no problem with it. It's absolutely part of the heritage. I'm not sure when we moved to the green strip. I know by 1884 we had. I mean, having had a quick look at Lugton, but we played in that strip for a couple of years right at the start.
Yeah. Ian, obviously you've got the strip on there, not necessarily the Hibs issue one, but it is going to be a kicking arse off. I think. What sort of reaction do you get when you're out and about with that strip, Ian?
It's really popular. Lots of people say, "Oh God, I'd love that." I mean, it really is, and people bang on the pub windows as you're walking along. I think I told you before. I've mentioned on this on one of the episodes when I wore it to Parkhead. Of course, it was just so. I mean, obviously, Celtic supporters just traditionally stupid. So I actually told them that this was our anniversary strip. So it was last season, but I said we will be issuing this strip, and really, yes, I'm going to do that. Aye, we are. I said, well, because what happened was when we started Celtic, we gave you our old strips, and they went, really? I said, aye. So I actually told them that, and I thought this was going to leak out in social media last year. I think it's great. I mean, obviously, we've got pictures of the team wearing it. I think it's absolutely right that we stamp our ownership back on this. I think it is. I think it's right. I think as Jeff said there, or John said, I think it's important that we don't get beat by Dundee Harp on at the weekend if we're going to claim that we've every right to wear the Irish strip.
And I suppose going from tradition to the other extreme, which was one of the topics I wanted to talk about tonight, was Green Tea had got in touch with a campaign that's going on just now. I believe it's Spanish. Spanish fans are campaigning against the Spanish league because they've permitted games to be played in America. So a couple of Spanish league games are going to go to the States. They'll play in American stadiums, and there has been talk of that happening in Scottish football before. I think Celtic and Rangers have talked about it. Dundee United certainly talked about it at one point. Well, I've got you on, Ian. What are your thoughts on it? Would you be pro or against?
I've actually watched Celtic and Manchester United play in Philadelphia, and I went in my Hibs trip when we lived there with my laddie. But it's funny because I know it's over 30 years ago now, but I built the Rangers database. Rangers didn't have a database, and I built the Rangers database, and that was from shop customers, it was from season ticket holders, and it was from shareholders. So that was 3 different groups. And it was very interesting because Rangers didn't have as they call it, the diaspora that Celtic have. So when it came to the number of international people we were populating on the database, it really wasn't very many. And that's really the only reason for doing this is to make money from your overseas support. So it doesn't make any sense if you're not going to bring in Japanese players, it doesn't make any sense to try and do marketing in Japan. So it only makes sense if it's a whole package. That is, we get the supporters in the country, we bring in the players who are from that country, and we begin to identify like that. So I think the only thing I would probably do is try and identify with, say, a team in Ukraine or a team in Denmark or whatever. I mean, obviously, it was quite when we played at the Rottweiss Essen. That was the Rottweiss Essen. Obviously, took a lot more. The supporters took it a lot more seriously than we did. But I prefer that we twinned with clubs rather than try to play games overseas.
Mm-hmm. Joe, if it was a way to sort of narrow the gap, if Hibs did it, say you take Ian's example, you sign a couple of Japanese players, and then Hibs go and we petition to take a couple of league games over to Japan, and we clean up. Then it gives us a chance to close the gap on financially on Rangers and Celtic. Would you be in favour of it then? Would that be a good enough reason to do it, or
anything that's going to help us close the financial gap is a good idea? But if you look at all the Hibs players that were on international duty this week, I mean, we must be represented internationally on 6 or 7 countries in the last week, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Hibs have got, as Ian said a few minutes ago, we've got, 9 current internationals, something like that. If you count Dylan Levitt, who's not in the Wales pool at the moment, that's 10. I mean, so I can see. Yeah, I like that word diaspora, by the way, yeah. But I can see it being a positive, definitely.
John, what are your thoughts on it? Would you be, Hibs versus St Mirren at, the New York Yankees Stadium or whatever, aye?
I think my first reaction is that any talk on this by any broadcasters only going to involve 2 teams.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so I think if anybody thinks that Sky or whoever it is their partner is in North America, I mean, is at all interested in anybody but Rangers Celtic, then I think we'd be being really naive. I think it'd be about trying to find the right stadium. I mean, there's no point in going to a 70,000 seater stadium and having 15,000 people rattling around the inside of it to play a game. To me, I just have that worry that there will not be the interest. I mean, for teams out with Celtic in particular to go and take it over. So I don't. It sounds really cynical in terms of would I like it? Yes, I'd love to go to Boston. You know what I mean? And there'd be a stadium and it'd be half green and it'd be brilliant and all this sort of stuff because you're looking at a large Irish community there that might come out or immigrant community similar to what led to our birth in Edinburgh. But the part of me wants to say, don't even think about it because one, it's not being talked about because of you and for you, and I'm not necessarily certain there's the interest.
Neil, what about the diehard fans that season ticket holders and all the rest of you with a league game? If it was league games rather than friendlies that were getting moved to say America or Japan or whatever, it kind of leaves your average Joe public fan sort of stuck. They're not getting to that game, are they?
Aye, it would be. I don't know how it would work actually. And it would. I don't know if they would do like a sort of cup competition, but I suppose it's worthwhile bearing in mind. Is it not half the clubs in Scotland, the Premier League, are now owned by Americans as well? Is that like American ownership? So you could imagine eventually we'll have maybe more clubs going over to America for pre-season training and stuff and playing in a wee tournament. Do you know what? I think we'd be well suited. I think Scottish football would be well suited to the American football stadiums because half the players here get paid to kick the ball over the bar anyway, and that's what they do in America. So I think we'd fit right in. But nah, it would be. I cannot see it. It's been pointed before. It would be Celtic and Rangers that would be talked about. It wouldn't be like Hibs or that. But now you could see. I suppose with Hibs, maybe you could imagine a game like in Australia, with the current setup, the players that have been involved in that recently and stuff. But I just can't really see it. And imagine how are we going to get the tickets? We can't even get the tickets for Ibrox and Parkhead. How are we going to get tickets for stadiums in Boston and stuff? It'd just be a headache. But aye, the long bangers playing over to Florida. I could see that.
No organising a supporters bus to Florida, did you? Jeff, what were your thoughts on
it? I'm dead against playing any competitive games where it disadvantages the average fan who won't be able to afford to travel. If we're talking about America or Australia, definitely against it. And as somebody said, would there be the interest in maybe rattling around stadiums, depending on where we play? America's a big place. I fly to San Francisco quite a lot, and that's a killer of a journey, 10.5 hours and back, and the jet lag and all that shit. Play a pre-season tournament over there. I think that's a fantastic idea. Maybe all the American owners of Scottish clubs get their heads together and they own so Foley owns Hibs, Bournemouth, New Zealand club. He just bought the ones that beat us in the European Cup, European match a few seasons ago. Rekia. Maybe get all them to America for pre-season in a little tournament. That'd be a good idea. Maybe based around a city. But yeah, don't disadvantage the people who pay your bread and butter. And we're not going to make it that much money from playing abroad and getting. I think the amount of pissing off it would do of normal fans is not worth it for the season.
It would probably be more cost effective to round up all the people in America interested in watching Hibs and bringing them over on a plane to watch us at Easter Road.
Well, I've bumped into Hibs fans in San Francisco, Redwood City, San Jose. It's amazing. And unfortunately, some fucking Huns and the obligatory plastic paddies. But there you go. Yeah, I just personally, I mean, it's great that they're thinking outside the box. But the Spanish fans, I imagine, will be dead against it. It's basically aimed at two clubs there, Barcelona and Real Madrid, I would imagine. But maybe Atletico thrown in. There is a big Spanish-speaking population, around some of the time, so they might, they would attract the crowds, obviously. But for a club like Hibs, no, and double no. And why would you want to go to America at at this time anyway, without mentioning anything that's happened recently?
Yeah. Well, on the YouTube comments, Green Tea, who flagged the issue initially, said, think the Italian FA are thinking about it too. It's fine for friendlies, but not for league games. RW said, do we do a tour of Africa? Because we've got some African players in now. Ronnie said, outside the Old Firm, is there enough interest in Scottish football? And tickets would cost less than Parkhead anyway. No, for me, says Kenny. And me says, really don't like the idea of it for league games. And when is it that it would come into place? So it's just a discussion point. Me, I don't think there's any plans at all for Scottish teams to do it just now.
And also, you've got to get a visa to travel there, Matty. Now, teams like St Mirren, they don't have a team because they'll be barred because of their criminal convictions.
This is true.
Never mind the fans. We'd have to going past the ice. You put a derogatory comment about the tangerine fucking trumper. You're not coming through. That's it.
Or just think about the Spanish teams trying to get through passport control, eh?
Yeah, and the fans.
Ice agents at the other side waiting on them.
That's it.
And just done. You don't need probable cause now to stop anyone with brown skin. It's been caught without, any
Spanish speaking, but they're not in low paid jobs though. Supreme Court were clear it has to be a low paid job, so maybe that's going to be the get out.
When you just walk along the street, how do you know it's a low paid job? Anyway, we're getting way off track.
Well, I was going to take you on to something a bit less controversial, but I didn't have anything, so I'm going to have to up the stakes and mention VAR. So we had the KMI panel release their findings. So they said that the offside goal was onside. They agreed with the referee and the linesman's decision there, which I guess that was always going to be a subjective one, as you can sometimes get with offside. But they also unanimously voted that we should have had that last-minute penalty, but we didn't get it. Now, I don't know if the VAR review show was tonight on Sky or if it's tomorrow night. So I was kind of caught up working.
Sure, it's tomorrow.
Is it tomorrow? That's
sure
good. I was going to say it's good. I've not missed it. I'm looking forward to watching it. That's probably a misrepresentation in the case here, but I always quite like to watch it because it's actually really informative. As somebody who's generally pro VAR, when you watch it being operated and the decisions explained, you can kind of understand how to do what they do, and it makes it a bit easier to sort of understand when they get a decision wrong. Is there any, Neil, the decision that was wrong on Saturday, the KMI panel said should have been a penalty. Hibs can't go back and replay the game, right? Or as Colin suggested, just bring the goalie through and let us take the penalty because the rest of the game was done. So it was a fair shout. So we have to suck it up. But how did our official team get a decision like that wrong, Neil?
I have no idea, and I'm no a fan of VAR, but I just think it's I suppose it was introduced to eliminate mistakes or eliminate as many mistakes as what were being made before, but it's human nature that mistakes would get made and that they're still being made, and we've got all this and it's just delays during the game and stuff. So I think it was always wrong to introduce it. I would have preferred goal line technology, but I think the cost involved in it was going to be more expensive than VAR, I think, which is a shame. Or even have 4 linesmen, so you've got one at each bit, a referee, and goal line technology, I think would have helped. But it's just frustrating. And every club will feel decisions going against them. Do you know what I mean? It'll be Hibs this week. Hopefully it's Dundee United this weekend. Do you know what I mean? And every club will moan about it and say that Hibs get better decisions or Dundee United. It's just taken away from football, and it annoys. Yeah, I'm annoyed by it, but it is what it is, and we just need to put up with it. And we'll have decisions go in our favour as well from VAR. I think there was a point last season we were probably quite fortunate with some decisions and stuff like that. Swings and roundabouts, but it's no helping. And there's no guarantee we would have scored the penalty anyway. No in Hibs, we probably would have hit over or whatever. No, in our luck, it probably would have been saved, and then they would have went up and scored. Do you know what I mean? But nah, it frustrates. And I suppose it's the entertainment value of it, but nah, I would rather we never had it.
John, do you think Hibs are vocal enough when a decision like this goes against us?
Yeah, I think we get it about spot on if I'm brutally honest about it, because I think it's David Gray's post-match interviews, are really good. He's very good at not giving the media too much of what they want, which is scandal and hyperbole and all this sort of stuff. But he's also, the phrase that he comes out with quite regularly now is, if you can't control it, you can't deal with it. I mean, and the referee decisions is one, and that's how he puts it away. And when he came out saying, "Look, I'll need explanations on these," I thought that was a good way to put it forward. So I think that that side of it, yeah, they get spot on.
Would you like us to exert more pressure on SFA? You know, you look at the noise that comes around when a decision goes against Celtic, goes against Rangers. Now, that noise doesn't necessarily come for the clubs, but it's propagated by the media. But they're never shy to chuck a statement out. You know, Rangers are infamous for it.
I think David Gray said enough. I think so. There's two. I mean, we play St Mirren at home, and Celtic travel to Ibrox on the same day. The simple idea is that had a Rangers player handled the ball like that in the box in the last minute, and Celtic not got a penalty, it wouldn't have been out in the media all week. And it's the media that drive these things. I mean, it's the mistakes. I mean, I think in your extra time, really good points. I think that the salient one is that this was only a level 3 decision. It should have been got right on the pitch, and there's no excuse for VAR not correcting it. That's the problem with this one. If we take I think the penalty we got against Rangers last year, where Boyle, I think it was Boyle running in, was knocked over, and that was seen as a subjective decision by the referee. I mean, I think it was a level 4, and it was one of those where, and it was one of those where everybody came out afterwards and said, if he hadn't given it, VAR would not overturn it because it's such a subjective decision for the referee, and that went our way. So those ones you can understand VAR not intervening. It wasn't quite Thierry Henry, I mean, who has to take a lot of blame for being the reason that we've got VAR, but it was clear and obvious. So I think that's the problem with this one. If we'd been louder, the club's going to get fined, you look a bit petty, and you're not going to get any different an answer. You know what I mean? It gives Willie Collum something to discuss. Sky get to big it up tomorrow in terms of this decision that's wrong. That's the problem with it. It shouldn't take till a week past the Friday. There should be something out by the Wednesday of the weekend saying exactly what was right, what was wrong. It isn't about KMI panels. This is long grass material. I mean, they've kicked it away, but I'm trying not to rant.
That's right. I'm liking that you've blamed Thierry Henry for the introduction of VAR, and I'm wondering if it was for his handball or whether it was for his Renault adverts with the VAR Voom. So I don't know.
There's an easy solution. Hibs just need to score 3 goals or more every game, and these decisions will not matter. They're not scoring enough goals.
They'll make 4 decisions through weekend where it's like they want to keep us in our place. Joe, what would you like to see happen with the referees, and how do you sort this mess out? Did they get like the stupid decisions like this going wrong?
I think whoever's in charge of all the referees has to sit down and come out with some sort of consistency that the rank and file referees all apply the same principles, because it seems to vary from referee to referee. And I agree about the Rangers Celtic bias carry on, but notwithstanding that, the referees sometimes don't know what's doing, or does the linesman make a decision and not the referee? It just seems that there needs to be a real sorting out of the refereeing bodies, in my view, to get consistency. That's what's sadly lacking in Scottish football.
Ian, you put your hand up.
Yeah, I think the key thing, it was very interesting because of the 13 decisions that were released, ours was the only one that was overturned, and that included the 2 Celtic Rangers ones as well, where they actually decided that VAR had been correct. So ours was the only one. I think the key thing is, as anyone who does this sort of review process, the review process is just the first thing you do, right? The next thing is, as we all know, lessons learned. It's the lessons learned. It's like, how do we fix it next time? And it would be really good if they published that. So instead of just saying, we got it wrong, right, we got it wrong, that was incorrect. So the next thing everybody wants to know is, what are you going to do about it? How are you going to avoid it next time? Because what they said was that they said VAR should have intervened, right? So what went wrong? Why didn't they intervene? Why did you not intervene? And how can we make that different next time? So it's all about lessons learned. There's no point in just coming out and saying, sorry, but we're wrong. You've got to say how you're going to avoid doing it next time.
Now, so John, you'll get your hand up there. I'll come to you in just a second. If I was to defend the SFA for a moment, and again reiterate the value of watching these VAR review shows, if you look at the lessons learned, so when Celtic had their second goal disallowed against us at Easter Road, or what would have been their second goal, and they had the hoo-ha about was the ball in or was it out, and the decision that they fell on was that VAR shouldn't have intervened because they couldn't tell if it was out. And the lesson that they learned from that was they said, well, going forward, if we can't say we're not going to do it. Now, there was 2 other decisions in the season where they implemented that lessons learned. One was Pataudry, where I think Rangers had a goal chopped off for the ball going in behind the goal, and the linesman flagged out of play, and it might have stayed in. Another one involved Rangers was when they potentially scored and Rocky cleared it off the line, if the line was, quite a bit thicker than it actually is. But that was it was on the back of they did the review, they did the lessons learned, and then they implemented it. This is why I think that it's worth folk watching the VAR review, because Willie Collum talks through these things and says, going forward, what we're teaching the referees is if they get this decision, this is how they should handle it next time. John, sorry, I kind of waffled on there. On you come. Oh, you need to come off mute. I talked so long, I muted you.
Sorry. You're right there. I mean, Willie Collum talked himself into an absolute corner last year.
Yep.
And you've got to remember, he sacked the VAR who gave us that decision. I mean, let's face it, Muir wasn't the biggest loss to refereeing in Scottish football. However, somebody lost their job over that decision. So there was no way he was going back. My question with VAR is that we talk about referees doing it, but it's a completely different skill set. If you're sitting in a room with 5 or 6 TV screens round about you that you've then got to watch and analyse, to try and see stuff, that's a different skill set to somebody who can run around a pitch and decide whether it was a tackle on one scene. I think part of the problem here is that we are trying to mould. So Clancy, part-time referee, full-time licensing solicitor. Clearly does the refereeing for his pin money. Will clearly turn around and say he's really committed to the job. Ultimately, it's not the thing that's paying his pension.
Mm-hmm.
So we have part-time people in there not putting a full week's work into it. How do you improve from that weekend? If we had people on 30 or 40, 30 to 35-hour contracts doing VAR, they'd be in the following week. You could rerun different games over different years with different decisions in them. They could be doing stuff on the screens. They could be dealing with skill sets. Having air traffic controllers in is a good thing because that's the environment that the VAR is working in, trying to deal with your comms. Our problem is right at the beginning, is that if I sat you, Joe, and Ian down in a room to say, you're going to set up VAR, could you come together with a set of skills that you think the VAR operators are going to need? One of them is going to be an understanding of the rules and their application, but I'd argue that's the easy thing to teach somebody. The skill set to be able to watch multiple monitors to understand and see what you're actually seeing on the screen is the hard thing. And we just assume that a referee can do that. That's part of the problem with VR. And it's not just us, it's across the world. Associations across the world are trying to squeeze the referees into a job that they weren't recruited for 20 years ago.
Can I ask, where did the air traffic controller element of that come into? You casually dropped that in.
No. Over the summer, they brought, as part of the training for the referees, they brought air traffic controllers in because what they were doing was trying to talk about the communication process. So because air traffic controllers deal with high pressure environments where communication needs to be clear, concise, and understood, they were using that to understand how does the referee and the VAR communicate when decisions are being talked about, when is silence important, and understand the clarity of how that's done. So the SFA did that over the summer, and those are positive things.
Yeah.
But if you started with people who don't have the best skill set, you're still going to get a compromise.
It explains the linesmen with the flags now sort of flagging like they're directing the planes. Jeff, what are your thoughts on VAR? How do we make it better?
I think whichever, whether it was extra time or one of the bangers pods covered it very well. The easy one to improve it for the fans who pay money to go on the ground is to have communication between the referee, a big screen, the fans, let them know what's going on, and let them know why the decision was made. We may not like it, and we might question his heritage and does he know his father, but it's got to be better than we're all standing there like dumb suckers, where people at home have more idea on the illegal streams than what we have. We've paid money, we've travelled. It's cost me fucking rail fares have gone up yet again, even for a pensioner like myself. To come up on Saturday. It's I want to know what's going on. It's as simple. The other side of it. Colin mentioned that however many of the decisions they get right, the ones that we wouldn't have got, the offsides that the referee's got his flag up. So there is a benefit to it, and there's obviously a downside with decisions like the St Mirren game where everybody could see it was a penalty. The St Mirren fans the other end of the ground, I've got a friend in there who was saying it was a penalty. We could see, virtually from down there, why wasn't it given? They're like, they should be outriders that, cause the furore that it's caused. People should, I'm not saying lose their jobs, but maybe be sent off for developmental purposes for their allowed to do it again. So VAR, it just needs to help the fans in the ground understand what's going on. Now, not every ground in Scotland has a big screen, I'm aware of that, but at least they can still communicate via the crap tannoy systems in some of them, saying, right, we're examining VAR because we think it's hit the player's hands. It may have come off his chest first, but we're going to stop the game now and we're going to look at some replays, blah, blah, blah. Comes back, we think it's hit his chest. We can't reverse the original decision if that's what's happened with us. So much better. I mean, rugby do it, as Colin keeps going on about. American football, and it wouldn't take any longer than what we're doing now. It'd just be less time for the fans to be in the dark. The paying customers, the life and soul of the game. They forget about us.
You make a good point about not all the teams having the big screens, and for whatever reason, as you said, that I imagine like a budget version at Livingston where it's just a massive Etch-a-Sketch, and they've got a fan with a big dial at either side of it trying to draw what's happened.
Or like a Rolf Harris. I'm sorry to mention his name, but you're doing a sketch.
You tell what it is, yep.
You tell what it is, offside. Yeah.
Right, I'm going to circle back right to the start of the episode where we got the question in for me who asked what's our strongest 11. So I'll go around the screen. John, you're on my top left of the screen, so I'd like you to give me from goalie to striker your strongest 11, please.
Smith in goals, back three. I would have Abita, Rocky, and I'm going to go O'Hara, although that could change as the season goes on. I'm going to have the Caddens at wing back. I'm going to have Mulligan in midfield. I'm going to go. The Chaiwa Levitt is the discussion that's going on in my head. I'm going to go Levitt at the moment because I think he's done enough this season so far to keep his place. Bowie, Boyle, and McGrath up top.
Okay, thank you. That's a decent team. Joe, what's your strongest 11?
I'm going to be controversial and suggest we go 3-4-3. Certainly for the home game. So the same back three as, O'Hara, Rocky, and
Abita,
thank you. Then McGrath, Mulligan, Dylan Levitt. Use the defensiveness of Chagba. Ian's not going to like this. I would leave out Nicky Cadden and play a front three of Kieran Bowie, our new £1 million striker, and Martin Boyle.
Okay. So that's a very attacking side. Jeff, what about you?
We're at home.
Yeah, we're at home. Our best side is virtually, I think somebody's already said it, but Smith, O'Hara, Rocky, Obita, if we're playing at Easter Road, if we're playing away, I might have Ardale and have Obita at left wing back. If not, it's Naden. I think if we were talking about the strongest, we'd probably want Mulligan at right wing back, although I love him in the centre as well, but just to fit in Chaiwa, Levitt, McGrath, Bowie and Boyle or Cleege.
All right, you have to pick Boyle or Cleege. Right? You carry
Boyle.
Again. Well, there you go. Right,
Well,
Ian.
I've found Jeff's rail ticket, £49.54. Is that how much you're looking at, Jeff?
with my old person's discount?
Yes. Yeah.
No, it was 70 odd quid before discount.
Wow.
Yeah.
Smith, Mulligan, Hanley, Rocky, Iredale, Obita, Levitt, Chaiwa, McGrath, Bowie, Cadden. Unfortunately, I just think we'll have to. I love Chris Cadden, but I think Mulligan's not been very good anywhere else except wing back. So I would say him there. Hanley looked great against Denmark, so he must be better than O'Hara, although I love O'Hara. But Smith, Mulligan, Hanley, Rocky, Iredale, Obita, who seemingly played brilliantly at the weekend, Levitt, Chaiwa, McGrath, Bowie and Cadden.
Okay. And Neil, did you have a pen there to write it down, Neil?
I did, aye. And
Excellent.
it doesn't make any sense. But I like Dean's team there at the end. I'm just going to say that. But I think it's like, I really want to see Iredale back to what he was like last season. Because he was outstanding. He was like probably like one of, like maybe for me, he felt like at times the best defender we'd had at Easter Road for ages, like read the game brilliantly and stuff like that. It'd be good to have him back. I was interested that he wasn't really in many people's sort of teams there, but I thought Ian's team was good. I think what's interesting is we've got a happy dilemma where we've now got a squad as opposed to, and it's no disrespect to, I know what to talk about players, they're no longer at Hibs, but you'd be worried about times we're making subs and we're bringing on folk and we're like, they're not going to enhance the team that we've got. They're no challenging for that. But so it's interesting that we've got like a debate amongst us and we're struggling to get like a starting 11 because we've got a really good midfield, I think. Up front, until we get Lyndon Dykes, Stephen Fletcher or anybody else in, we're maybe still lacking a wee bit of depth there. And defensively and that, and even back up with Smith as well. So I'd say Ian's team is the closest I'd go for. And I think, yeah, we've got a really good squad now. Let's make the most of it. And it's I don't know, like you're wondering, like for David Gray, like what's he thinking at this point? Do you know what I mean? They've had a week off for international break. Like what's he thinking is his best team? Because now he'll stick with he sticks a lot with Josh Campbell. I know that's not like a popular decision, but he must be seeing something in training that Campbell is offering that obviously we're not always seeing for the stands on a Saturday.
And we've also got Dan Barlasser and Zach Mitchell as well, who's not really got a mention either. As options, Manny, Joe Newell still to come back as well. I think there was a comment, and I apologize, I can't remember who mentioned it, saying that we must be getting close to Newell being back into contention. So, I mean, the options that Gray's got across the pitch are pretty decent now. It's been a good window, and I think if we do manage to get a striker in on the free transfer market, then things are looking good. Right, we'll wrap up with score predictions for the weekend. Somebody did say a score already, but I can't remember who or what it was. So, John, what's the score going to be?
2-0 Hibs.
Was it 2-0? Was it? Neil?
3-1
Ooh.
Ian?
3-0 Hibs.
Jeff?
3-1 Hibs, and I'm being coy about the ticket price in case my wife ever watches this podcast.
Good play. Yeah, very good. And Joe, did you go 3-1?
Yeah.
3-1, that's three of us
Yes.
said 3-1.
Right, well, there we go. It's nailed on then. Get your bets on now. Right, thanks very much for tuning in, guys. Thanks very much for your time this evening, for coming on and joining us. It's been a real pleasure. And to everybody who left comments, that's much appreciated. We launched some new designs on our Redbubble store through the week as well, so you can go and have a look at that. The Hail or Snow or Thunderstorms a Go t-shirt, that was one of my favourites that we launched, so have a wee neb. And if you missed the previous shows that we put out last season, John and I will be back with one tomorrow, so probably about 4:30, 5 o'clock on YouTube tomorrow, so keep an eye out for that. In the meantime, thanks for listening, and we will see you all next time.